broadcasting live from Tofu TV.ca. This one's for you. This is the show for you. Hope you're having a great night. I have my guest. He is on chat right now. This is perfect. 1 second. I'm just going to get us all set up here. Hope you're having a great night. Okay. So, my guest tonight. Let me get his intro in. Nicholas Pereira, a.k.a. Nakula Das. He coins himself the general of the Semen Retention Army and a sex guru for the modern man. He also ran for MP in New Brunswick this past election. I want to give you a chance to ask him some questions, so pay attention. I'm going to open the lines in a sec. There we go. Nakula, how you doing, man?
What's happening?
Hey, how you doing?
Good. Happy to be here.
Right on, man. Thank you for joining us. This is the second time I've managed to get somebody on the screen, and this time we did it a little more smoothly, so it's working out well. Right on.
As long as you're improving, that's all anybody can ask.
Exactly, man. Exactly. So I think it's fair to say that most people know you because of the articles that were going around during election time. So
yeah, sure. The semen retention, the ball breathing, articles,
okay. So okay,
I love it.
Yeah.
What a way to wake up in the morning. I was like, oh wow, that's interesting. Yeah, this is good. This should go well.
How was that day like? What were some of the replies and the responses you were getting when you woke up? Like, what were people saying to you?
Well, I just, like, a few people sent me. We had a great volunteer team here, and some of the people they send me, they really kept me informed with that kind of stuff, like what was going on as far as articles and different things that were being published. And there was an incident a few days before that with myself and the New Brunswick Education Minister, Dominic Hardy, and I think that's maybe what drew attention towards me. And then, of course, there was people were finding out who I was, and the Post-Millennial, I think they broke a story saying the PPC candidate, something about he can breathe into his testicles or something like this. And honestly, I started laughing. It did not bother me as much as I thought it would have, because I know what I do, and I was like, this is hilarious. And I actually said, in some weird way, this is amazing because it's going to bring light to an issue that a lot of people, don't want to talk about, or, maybe find taboo, or goes against the mainstream narrative of our culture overall. But there's a lot of evidence to show that, we can have a really good conversation about the state of men's sexual health right now in the world, and some good things we can do about it. So it was kind of awkward. It was, this was the first campaign I ran. The People's Party of Canada is already got a bad rap as far as being a fringe party, which, we got close to a million votes. I'm really proud of the party. I'm really proud of what we stand for. And for me, myself, it was nerve-wracking at the same time. I've never been slandered before by the media or talked about in such a way. But I'm really happy it happened. I'm very grateful because I'm talking to you. I'm talking to so many people. And just a few days ago, I was on the Howard Stern show talking about semen retention.
No way. You've made it big, man. You've made it big. That's good. No, that's good. That's good.
I don't know about that, but I thought it was pretty cool. And don't get me wrong, Howard Stern did not like semen retention. He wasn't open about it, right?
He's like Captain Coomer. That's him, man.
yeah, and I didn't realize he was he's really pushing the vaccines hard, and he's kind of he's kind of like mainstream media now type of thing. Anyways, I don't really know. I never really was a fan or watched him, so I don't really have much of an opinion. I did like seeing him when he was on Conan O'Brien's podcast. I like Conan O'Brien, and he was on the podcast, and I thought he was interesting. But he wasn't open to semen retention for the idea, but just the fact that I was on the Howard Stern show talking to Howard Stern about semen retention is just another win for, what I'm trying to, the information and the wisdom that I've learned, that I really want, a lot of men to at least be open to listening to,
Yeah. It's like having a sign out there, somebody saw it. It doesn't matter where it was. Somebody saw it and they connected with you. I kind of want to loop back around to the testicle breathing thing just to clear it up a little bit. Like,
yeah.
is this what I assumed it was a meditation technique?
Yeah.
And so, like, is it actually, like, what is it, man? Are you breathing into your nuts?
What is it? Yeah.
Like, what
Look,
are the
it's
health
very
benefits?
mystical, okay? No, I'm
Yeah.
just joking. Yeah. It's actually like, it's okay. So most people understand deep belly breathing
Yeah.
as a way to calm themselves down. All
Yeah.
right. So let's just very practical, right? So testicle breathing, it's meant to push the deep belly breathing. So you deep breathing into your belly. Well, in when I'm teaching a sexual alchemy, which is a process of controlling your sexual urges and using your sexual urges very strongly. And there's a whole kinds of reasons of why you would want to do that, and type of thing. But the process of testicle breathing simply means to deep as deeply as you can, that you imagine it filling up your testicles like lungs. And what it does is it helps somebody actually breathe probably the deepest they've ever taken a breath in their life,
Right.
and expand their capacity to hold oxygen within themselves. So it's a holistic way of breathing. It's used as a way of guiding someone's mind into their testicles to become aware of their sexual energy, because the work that I do largely revolves around getting guys to help guys who are porn addicted, or they believe they have a porn addiction, or even if they don't believe they're addicted, they just want to stop, and they feel like this has a little bit too much control of my life. I'm spending too much time with this. And guys helping with masturbation issues. I also help guys with like erectile dysfunction, premature ejaculation, through these holistic ways. And if anybody's familiar with Wim Hof,
I've never.
if anybody's familiar with Wim Hof,
Yeah.
then they'll be very familiar with some of some of the breathing techniques in which I teach as well.
Okay, so is this like along the lines of like Eastern medicine sort of stuff? Because
Yeah, oh, for sure.
I've read
Yeah.
I've also come across one guy. His name was Robert Sepper, and
Okay.
he was talking a lot about this stuff in his videos, where it was had a lot to do with when you said alchemy, sexual alchemy, a lot to do with how do I put this, with like religion, right? With spirituality.
Yeah. Oh, that 100%. There's many reasons why guys practice some kind of sexual control. So right now, what's a really popular online movement that I definitely support, and is no fap.
Mhm.
And fapping is a funny
Yeah,
term
fap,
for
fap, fap.
masturbating,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Fap,
yeah.
right? Any guy knows the sound, right? And so right, and so um so nofap isn't spiritual in its roots at all. And if you look at the biology of why someone would want to regulate their ejaculation, I'm not saying be a monk, and I'm not saying not have sex, but what I'm saying is, if you're fapping every day, if you're masturbating every day, and you're ejaculating every day, then every day your body is releasing prolactin into your system. And prolactin is a testosterone stifler. It kind of, it's like why you want to, roll over and go to sleep right when you're done, right? Because your whole body is depleted of that energy. And so the body takes a lot, according to Ayurveda, and Ayurveda is from the Eastern medicine. It takes 40 to 60 ounces of blood to create semen. What we can say as an overall principle is that all your body, from a biological perspective, is designed to have kids. Like, you're designed to have sex. So there's nothing wrong with sexual urges or anything like that. And you don't want to repress that. In a lot of religions, what happens is repression happens, and then we know that leaks out into all kinds of weird, sick shit, right?
Mhm.
And we've seen all that kind of stuff come out. That's a deep sexual repression. And what these teachings from the yogis, from the Taoists, many different cultures, so it's not exclusive to one, but it's more well known in the East,
Right.
is the practice of semen retention as a way for a man to store and use his best enzymes, proteins, nutrients. And any guy knows, like, think about the energy that comes with sexual arousal. Like, you could be dead tired, right? 3 o'clock in the morning, you got to get up at 6 to work.
She calls
She
you.
says, come on over. You're boom, you're cruising right down, yeah, totally, yeah. You're wide awake. Nah, babe, I'll pull an all-nighter. It's all good.
I got a
So,
buddy who just drove halfway across the country. He's listening right now, and he literally just drove halfway across the country for that reason.
Kanye West said, look at what we'll do for the prospect of sex. Like, look in front of a club at 3 in the morning, dressed ridiculous, like all kinds. Like, sex is such a basic and instinctual motivator that not to talk about it, not to understand it is, in my opinion and perspective, and from what I've learned, I didn't always have this opinion. This has come from me discovering and getting fascinated by the subject. I've got my 3 favorite subjects in the world: sex, politics, and religion. I make a great dinner guest.
You're probably great at the dinner table, man.
Totally. I make a great dinner guest. Me and my wife, we love these subjects because these are the subjects that really matter, and that's why they're so taboo. It's because they actually really matter. Sex matters. The way that our understanding of our own sexual energy matters. So a guy knows 3 o'clock in the morning, he's dead tired, prospect of sex, he's awake, he's ready. Now imagine if you consciously use that energy instead of jerking off and depleting that energy and being like, oh, after, and getting all foggy brained, and it goes down a dark rabbit hole of depression, social anxiety. Porn has been proven to reshift the brain, just like a cocaine addict or any addiction. It can become addictive, and it literally changes the structure of the brain, just like an addict. It messes with your dopamine receptors. So someone who's watching porn every day, who's jerking off every day, who's ejaculating every day, they're living in a depleted state. And so many men are doing it right now that we don't realize it because it's just a normal, like, and nobody's got energy. But people should have energy. And what guys who practice semen retention or no fap, not linked to any spiritual, this is all on a level of biology, they will experience more energy, brain fog clearing. Sometimes, guys, each guy's a bit different because, we're all different, but thicker hair, muscle growth, loss of body fat. Why? Because about 7 to 10 days of retaining your semen, your body actually reabsorbs the semen because nature says, hey, you're not using it. So what we're going to do is we're going to re-stimulate you and actually make you more sexy. We're going to make you more attractive. And what's attractive is masculinity. Attraction is polarization. So all of this gender stuff where everybody is like kind of like in between or, kind of neutral and all that stuff, it creates like a sexless world, and it creates attraction and family dynamic, and life is about polarization. So masculine, feminine. Semen retention stimulates testosterone. It's a natural testosterone booster. Big Pharma right now is cashing in on testosterone shots and boosters for men.
Yeah.
It's because we're living depleted. It's not just the porn and the ejaculation, but that's a major factor. It's a huge factor. But overall, just our lifestyle, too much social media, too much estrogen in our meats. Like, there's all kinds of, problems that men, I'm working with men, it's happening for everybody, but men, especially, a lot of men don't realize this is going on. And one of the reasons, there's so many men are having issues, but they don't realize, they're not connecting the dots, that a large portion of it has to do with how depleted we are and actually how estrogen we are. Like, we're actually, our body, like, one thing I've had to work on is my body fat. Reducing my body fat, something I'm still working on, because I used to carry a lot more. So it's like, come down. Body fat, all this stuff stifles testosterone. Semen retention, basically, long story short, semen retention, it's 7 to 10 days when the body reabsorbs the semen and circulates everything. It also stifles your testosterone. So you get a boost of energy, you get a boost of testosterone, and testosterone is what makes you more and more masculine. And so what you end up having is a ton of motivation, and your basic instincts of wanting to provide and protect come through. And you become really charged up as a man. You also have a higher sex drive. When you're watching porn, you desire porn. But like when I drop porn and stuff, I want my wife. I want the
Yeah.
real thing.
Yeah,
And
no,
that's what
so
I'm teaching guys
what
to do.
what I want to do is I'm going to put the phone line on the screen so now people can call up if they want. I actually you got my attention like you said when you went up against Dominic Cardi. I saw
Okay.
that and I actually broadcasted that on one of my first shows and I was like, this guy, he has some resolve. He has some strength and conviction. I was like, where does he get it? Where does he get this? And then I found out, and I was talking to another
From my
guy.
balls.
You're
Man,
like straight up, man. You got your
yeah.
stoicism. It's stoicism that
That's
you're
right.
you're able to.
I love, of course, you definitely know I'm into all that, right? Like
Right.
the Stoic philosophy, being a man, being responsible. I wasn't always into this stuff, but I started linking through my own spirit. So, okay, because you asked me about spirituality,
Right.
and I wanted to share it in a way where even if you're an atheist, you'd be like, yeah, okay, I understand that when I jerk off a lot, I'm depleted of my energy. And
Mhm.
so if I retain my semen and I retain my sexual energy and not act upon it, but let it build, this is what we call cultivating your sexual energy, where you actually let it build. Like during campaign, definitely I didn't ejaculate. I ejaculate average. So it's not always like this, but average once every 90 days.
Yeah, and that's something I wanted to ask you because, like, I've heard sayings like, before you make a big decision, if you're gonna go buy a car or, if it's gonna be a nerve-wracking interview, is there exceptions to this rule? Like, do you tell your guys, you say, listen, if
Oh
you
yeah,
need,
yeah.
like,
If you need to do yeah, like when I'm work, so guys who work with me, they join what's known as the Semen Retention Army, right? Which
right,
is this training program that I've put together. I was mentored by a guy who's a Taoist trained. So he's trained
okay,
in all these energy practices, all these meditations,
right,
and it's something called sexual alchemy. And so I took the practices and I created a program and I created a support system to help guys get off porn, stop masturbating, and also just have a place to talk about sex and men shit.
yeah,
Like guy stuff, right? Like
yeah.
a lot of it is just again like, personal development, being responsible. What does it mean to be a man in this world? Especially right now, because I personally believe that masculinity is under attack.
For sure. No, you're right. 100%. It's from schooling right up to pop
Yeah.
culture. I mean, like look at some of the most
Yeah.
popular you got that Harry Styles guy? Like he makes me cringe every time I see him.
This is
You
not a
never
man. This is
No.
not a man.
It's not. And
Harry
those are
Styles
the
is not a
archetypes.
man.
Those are the
Yes.
archetypes that are being fed to the kids and it's terrible.
And do you know that China and Russia both put restrictions on this type of stuff, and they literally said we're not going to keep propping up the pansy boy like
Mhm.
the soft feminine man,
Yeah.
because it imbalances. Like the reality is we need strong men. This word toxic masculinity, I do believe there's such a thing called toxic masculinity, but a man who's strong, who's a leader, who knows his values, and who's a family man, who stands. And I'm not saying like you can't have an awesome sex life and you can't have an awesome, like, in fact, all these practices actually make you better in the bedroom, right? All these but the thing is that with all of this propping up of a feminine archetype of a man, there is nobody standing up to anything. Everybody's so compliant. everybody's just like, kind of like women in a way.
Yep.
And this whole feminist, I'm a feminist, Justin Trudeau, he loves to say I'm a feminist, but he's not a feminist. He's a Marxist. The feminist movement, Black Lives Matter, the gay rights movement, these have been these are all rooted in very good things and good ideas and inclusive ideas and ideals, which I can get behind personally. Unfortunately, they've been politicized, they've been weaponized. They're being used to pin us against each other.
I like that you're going this way, because this is a theme of the show tonight was linguistic tyranny, was irony, the way that they're using the phrase "it's for your health." And
oh my gosh,
you know what I mean? Like,
this is rhetoric. No time in history have you ever taken a vaccination. I assume that's what you're talking about with it's for your health.
For sure, yeah.
Yeah. No time have you ever taken a vaccination for somebody else's safety. It's not the way it works. I have friends, I have clients that are in the Semen Retention Army who are doctors, medical professionals, and I've had great conversations with medical professionals, and running was a great experience because I got to meet a lot of people and talk to people of all sides. And you know what? I'm not like fearful of the vaccine as I was. I'm still not. I haven't taken it. I don't want it. I don't even take Advil though. Like, that's the thing. Like, I haven't taken pharmaceuticals. I don't take it. So to me, taking stuff is not part of my life.
It's a big part of the argument is that you need to be able to make that decision for yourself. You need to be able to
100%.
come to the decision yourself. Because when they take that away, it becomes a combative situation where you've lost your autonomy. And like
That's
you
right.
said, why would it be advantageous for our government and the corporations and stuff around us to push like a lack of masculine archetype in society for that reason?
Oh my goodness. So like, again, this is like a lot of people see, I'm for about a decade, I've studied different spiritual practices and cultures and different ways of living. And I still do. I'm fascinated with people. And what I've come to learn is there's no one belief system on this planet. There are multiple belief systems running. There are multiple levels of consciousness, levels of what's important and values. And we have to find a way to live in harmony. And personally, I feel like everybody has a part to play in the bigger picture. But the individual rights of somebody has to be protected, because when a government has autonomy, then the individuality of someone can't be expressed, and that it really stifles a person's growth. When I started seeing what was happening, not so much with the actual with COVID, but the bills that were being pushed through, and the bills that Justin Trudeau, and this is not just a Canadian problem. That's the thing, right? It's happening in the US. As soon as Biden got in, the agenda was back on, so it's coming through. Totalitarianism is coming through at a very quick pace through the left wing. It's not the left wing ideals that are the problem. They've weaponized the ideals. They don't care. These people, let me tell you, Justin Trudeau does not care about gay people. He uses gay people. He does not care about black people. He uses them. Just like he proved that. He showed it. He advocated for the federal holiday for Indigenous people that just happened.
And then he went surfing at his buddy's $18 million mansion. Yeah. And
this is how much he cares.
Exactly. Yeah. It's a farce. It's all a farce. And it was a great psyop, because now, you have millions of Canadians, especially new Canadians, people who have gotten here over the last 5-6 years. They didn't know about this stuff. They didn't we got taught about these things in school, and it was delicately placed, and we learned these historical things slowly and in their context. But now there's a lot of people who have come here and they just found out that we've, in some way or another, the way that they are seeing it now is that we've had some sort of crazy dark past that was swept under the rug, and that like Canadian culture is to be demonized, and like it's terrible, the frame that's
It's
been.
the
Yeah.
same government who covered it, who released it, covered it up,
Yeah.
is the same ones who acted upon it. It's the same government who's now using it as a political weapon to demonize the flag of Canada because it's time for them to try to redraw lines. This is all about leading us towards the Great Reset. Now, I want to tie it into semen retention
Yeah.
because what's really interesting is there's articles if you know, like, Google and do some research around the military and sexual practices, or how, like, for instance, how the military has weaponized pornography and use this because they know it's so addictive, because they know it has so much chemical effect on the body. It's ultra exciting. It could, pump you up, type of thing. That actually, that they want to pump out pornography in our culture. This is very difficult for people to accept because they don't generally like look into things like political and war strategy.
Mm-hmm.
But I recommend everyone read the books The Art of War by
Yeah.
Sun Tzu, The Prince by Nicola Machiavelli.
Oh.
These two books are manuscripts that give you general political and war tactics. It's important that you actually have some under, even if you've never been a politician and never considered yourself ever thinking like that you would have to fight in a war, but we are in a war. It's not a hot war. There's no guns on the streets in Canada, yet, right? But it's come. There's incidents of coming close. We have a pastor here locally whose church was just shut down. People are getting tired of what's going on, and how the government is treating certain individuals. There's a medical apartheid happening. All of these tactics are actually described in these books as ways that states take over other states, or empires take over other empires, nations take over other nations. What we have is an outreaching outstretch of the Chinese Communist Party.
Yeah.
Now, what's interesting is if you look at the history of semen retention, and the way that I teach it through the meditations and practices, comes largely, the meditations I teach are largely rooted in the Taoist tradition and from the Taoist monks. What's really interesting about the practices is that the Yellow Emperor, he was an ancient Chinese emperor. He actually took over these Taoist temples and learned of the arts of sex transmutation and the power of retention, the power of basically masculinity, femininity, how it keeps things stable. And when you lose the polarization, everything starts to crumble. And he recognized that, and so he actually kept these teachings secret, but they themselves practice this art. That's why in China and India, practices of celibacy, practices of sexual practices of sexual restraint, tantra, non-ejaculatory sex, these things are well known there. But over here, what has the left-wing media and Hollywood, because it's all owned by a communist agenda. And that's the hard part for people to swallow, right? Like,
Oh, it really
that's
is.
the part where they go, oh, conspiracy theorists, tune out, right? But I promise you, do your own research.
Yep.
Look into these books. This is not crazy. This has happened over and over again. This is also not a new battle.
There's a good scenario that I could explain. It was when Israel went into Palestine. I think it was in 2001, or it was early 2000s. What happened was they took over the state broadcaster immediately, and instead of broadcasting propaganda, They broadcasted all you could watch in Palestine on TV was pornography. So you either went out and
Wow.
fought, and you know the situation. It's they are overpowered in that area. So you either went out and fought, or you were stuck inside watching porn, and it caused societal rifts. It
Yeah.
was psychological warfare. So it was like they were either drawing you out or ruining your family. And so that's something that not a lot of people know about, but porn is a weapon. It is
Yes.
a weapon, and it can destroy a man from the inside out. I want to confess something here to my listenership. I was a strip club DJ for 5 years. All right? And in that strip club, they had TVs in every corner that was hooked up to a satellite that played hardcore porn nonstop. Nonstop. You could just kind of look in the corner, and there it would be, flap 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 flap. And
Yeah.
it was something that it can drain you. It can really
Oh my gosh.
it overstimulates your brain. It's like when you're on Twitter. Lately, I've been on Twitter trying to get the show out, and I'm freaking
Yeah.
going to sleep. My brain's still going, but that's the same effect that pornography can have, because it you don't realize it, but it kind of burns in the back of your brain, like when you look at a light. You know?
Oh, 100%. Because so sex is our most basic motivator. It's instinctually our most, so it's deep wired within us. So our sexual impressions stay very deep wired. Sex is like super glue. It's like psychic super glue. Guys can't remember what we had to eat, 3 days ago for dinner, but we could still remember the very first blowjob we got. We could
Yep.
still remember even the crush that got away.
Yeah.
That one that we're like, oh man, I wish I,
Yeah. The
I should
way
have
she
made that
winked
move,
at you.
right?
Yeah, 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 yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, that's right. Yeah. Some girl winks at you. You still, it's engraved in your head
Yeah.
because that's how much you're wired for it. You're looking for it at an unconscious level. What I teach guys how to do is bring it up to a conscious level and use it. Use that same white hot desire, but now use it to make more money. Use it to improve your life. Use it to get in better health. Use it to work out. Use it to bring harmony back to your relationship, and use it to bring back your masculinity. And I'm not saying, like, don't take that as a slap in the face. I had to also, like, look at my own self and internalize, say, yeah, you know what, I could be doing a lot better. Like, I could be more motivated, I could be sharper, I could be better, I could be stronger. Why am I not? Oh, because I'm sitting around, I'm eating too many fatty foods, I'm watching porn, I'm jerking off, I'm doing all this stuff, I'm not unplugged. Now we got a Canada who's in a desperate situation of losing its freedom. We got pastors and churches getting locked up. We got a left-wing media that props up, they prop up feminine men. They're destroying us psychologically. They're killing our culture. They don't let us celebrate Canada Day. They don't let us celebrate Thanksgiving here in New Brunswick. The province literally put up a mandate for over the Thanksgiving weekend.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're
Circuit
killing our
breakers, right?
culture.
Yeah.
Circuit breakers, yeah.
Yeah.
They're killing our culture. And all of these waves, you get to go out, you don't. It's all psychological warfare. But what I teach guys how to do is become strong mentally. And when you're watching porn, you can't be strong mentally. You have to get, I'm not saying, again, you got to be a saint and you got to, like live this kind of pure life, but there is a stoicism that needs to be returned. A
Yeah.
masculine man who's self-controlled, who's disciplined. And again, I'm not a saint, I'm not a monk, I'm not a renunciant. My wife is hot, and I, right? Like, but there is a level of masculinity that's missing,
I
and the
I
practice of semen retention brings it back. And so, just to end it quickly, is the Chinese emperors, they know this, and I can guarantee you that the people in the Chinese Communist Party understand this and know this,
mhm.
and that's why they banned it in their own country, but they fund it. They fund it over here, and they make it available over here, and it's really killing us and hurting us.
No, that's I appreciate you coming on the show, man. I really appreciate you coming in. I'm sorry we didn't get any calls. It doesn't look like I'm gonna just wrap off the name of the or sorry, I'm gonna wrap off the phone number just in case somebody's listening. It's 705-482-5609. If you got a question for Nakula, I'm going to give you a chance to call in. If not, we're going to wrap this up really quick. I wanted to say something, you said they're killing culture. It's culture. I keep on mentioning this on the stream. Culture comes from individual will tied to your neighbors, your community. When your will all becomes strong and it is compatible with your neighbor and with your community, and you all got a strong compatible will, you form a strong compatible culture, and it starts where you're at. It starts with being a strong man, and what you're talking about is definitely a building block to getting to that point in life. I really want to thank you for coming on the show. What I'm going to do is I'll archive all of this. I'll make a YouTube video out of it so you can share it up, and I'll give you the audio as well. So just before we sign off here, how can people reach you and your services?
Yeah, absolutely. nakuladas.com. I got a YouTube channel under the same name, Nakula Das. I always say start with the YouTube channel because it'll give you a ton of good information and things to get going with. And then go to the website and you can catch me on all the socials. And I've always got free webinars and free programs. So start with that stuff, and then you can always book time. I mean, I'm talking to guys all day long about this and helping guys, again, quit porn, stop masturbating, all kinds of sexual issues. I'm your man.
Thanks, man. I appreciate you coming on, man. Appreciate you coming on the show. All right.
Thank you.
This one's for you, dude. Have a good night, all right? And that was Nakula Das. He was our special guest for the night. If you have anything to ask Nakula Das, if you want to get his services for yourself, well, what you got to do is go to the show notes. I have it in Telegram and in Discord, which is available at Tofu TV. This one's free.